Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here this morning. If you're new, my name is Mark. I'm the pastor here. It's my joy to pastor this church. If you have a Bible, why don't you pop it open to John chapter 1. We're going to kind of bebop around the scriptures this morning and just kind of hang out together as we talk about another subject, the last subject. This is our last week of the Established series. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been a series that, for many of you who are in the faith and who have followed Jesus Christ for a long time, reminded you of what it is that we believe, and it rekindled in you your confidence and your joy as you're following Jesus Christ. I trust that many of you who are newer in your faith, we're learning things for the first time, and that's exciting for me to see people go deeper into their relationship with Jesus Christ. But I want to remind you of why we did this. We did this because as a church, we're committed to being Christ followers, and by God's grace, making Christ followers. And we don't see followers as just being converts. That is, we don't see it as just someone trusting Jesus Christ for the first time, although we love that when that happens, don't we? I mean, we love popping roses up here. I don't have any to put up today, but I trust that God's going to bring more and more people, and we'll signify decisions for Jesus Christ with these roses that we put on our stage. But we got to thinking, so many of these people who follow Jesus Christ, and for the first time, we just have very little contact with or knowledge of whether or not they're really growing up in their relationship. So we're committed to not just creating infants in Christ. We want to create other followers, fully devoted followers. And that happens when people pour into the lives of those who are new in Christ. So what we've done in this series is hopefully prepare an army of us who will be willing to sit down with someone who's new in their faith in Christ and just walk them through the basics, these establishing things. And what we did in our bulletins today is we put a card in there. Has everybody seen this card? Look at this card real quick. I got one right here. And here's what we're hoping to do, just so we can kind of get some information and know who needs what around here as far as establishing in Christ goes. We're asking you to answer a couple questions. First of all, if you're new in your relationship with Christ and no one has walked through the truths or the establishing type stuff that we have in the little establishing guide, which you're just going to have to believe is in my hand because I forgot it backstage. But we would love for you to just have an opportunity to learn those precepts, learn those ideas, and sit down with someone to do that. So you can indicate that on your card. But if you're here and you're someone who is willing to take people through the guide and challenge them and disciple them so that they grow up in their faith, you can indicate that as well. Now, here's the deal. I forgot last service, and I got spanked for it, figuratively speaking. We're going to hand these in at the end at the doors. So fill them out while I'm preaching. It's okay. It's not cheating. Although everybody who texts me while I'm preaching, that's a little weird. All right? Try not to do that. All right, but it happens, just so you know. I looked down at the timestamp, and I was like, hey, I was in point number 2. Pay attention. So, are we back? I'm back. Here we go. You can fill these out. We'll put them in the baskets on the way out. And our hope is just to create an army of people who are ready as God gives us the opportunity to disciple folks in their relationship with Christ. I'm tripping over my tongue all day today. I got in last night at about 1:30. I had one of those flights that was delayed. Everybody been on a delayed flight? Yeah, delayed. That's an interesting word for it. So if I fall asleep while I'm preaching, someone wake me up. Here we go. The last thing that we're going to talk about in this series on being established, I think, is the most important thing that we have to talk about. In fact, the rest of the other chapters just don't matter if we don't have this, and it's this thing called grace. Now, when you say grace in the culture that we live in, people think about figure skating or ballroom dancing. They think about fine motor skills. That person moves with grace and ease. Sometimes if you get to church, some people stop at this definition of grace. They think, oh, well, we got to eat, so we have to say grace. And those are, rightful definitions of the word. But the grace that I want to talk to you about today is the grace that we have been given by God through Jesus, and it's what makes this relationship thing with Him possible. Without grace, I'll write that down in your notes. Let's just launch. You ready? Without grace, there is nothing that is possible. Nothing is possible apart from the grace of God. Let that kind of just settle on you. Now, I'm going to work today and just kind of talk to you about what grace is, what it does, how it works, especially in these hard times, as many of us are kind of walking through difficulties in life. We need to be reminded that underlying those difficulties is this truth of grace. As hard as things are, as impossible as things seem, God's grace is for us. Grace is unmerited favor. It's you getting something that you could not and do not deserve. And in our world, that doesn't make sense. Like, we're not, has anybody ever said, hey, I'll give you this, this, and this, and you've said to them, what's the catch? Anybody ever said that one? Because we're skeptical. Nothing in life seems for free. Has anybody gotten a call from a salesperson in your house? Hey, you've won a free cruise. Oh, really? I didn't sign up to win a free cruise. Tell me how I won. Oh, all you have to do is, and then you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden, you're paying like for 4 cruises. Everybody know what I'm talking about? So we're in the world that we live in, we don't understand grace. We don't accept it. We don't expect it on any level, usually, in our relationships with each other. I mean, think about it. We wrestle in our flesh and blood to understand unconditional love, to understand, how God could love us, regardless of what we do. So grace is kind of weird for us. We're just so we can understand our economy. We are an eye for an eye economy. You give me this, I'll give you that. We believe in barter. And we take this idea to our relationship with God a lot of times. Have you ever made a deal with God? All right, God, here's the deal. We even start it with, that's our prayer. It's the here's the deal prayer. All right, if I can get that new boat, I'll go to church twice this month. What do you say? He's like, whatever. Yeah, we believe that we can bargain with the God of all things. Just so we're all clear, you can't bargain with the God of all things. Everything you're bargaining with is His already. But we wrestle with that. Let's put it this way. Does anybody remember back in the days before cell phones when you actually had to use a payphone? Anybody ever use a payphone? Yeah? And you had to have change. I have a friend to this day. He's my age, 40 years old, and he still carries 5 quarters in his pocket everywhere he goes. And I'm like, Brad, what's that for? He's like, I might need to use a phone. I'm like, and I point to this hip holster phone. I'm like, Brad, you have a phone. Yeah, but the battery might die. I'm like, well, where are you going to find? There's no payphones anymore. They're gone, dude. Well, I just want to be careful. Just ask someone for their cell phone. It's a long conversation. But back in the day, anybody ever do this? You go to the payphone and you'd be like, and all you have is bills, right? And so now you got to do that horrible social experiment of trying to find someone with change, right? Anybody got a dollar? Who's got a dollar? Anybody got a dollar? Right now, seriously. Anybody got a dollar? Come on up. If you got a dollar, come on up. Who's got a dollar? First dollar wins. Here we go. Andre's got a dollar. Everybody, this is Andre. He has a dollar. Here we go. All right. Now, Andre's the guy looking for a cell phone, or looking for a payphone, and he would approach me in the street and say, hey, do you have change?
Hey, do you have change?
I do. Here's 4 quarters right here.
Why, thank you.
And there's your quarters. Have fun. And he would go back to his seat and use the payphone. But everybody sees what happened in that exchange, right? He got 4 quarters. I got a dollar. Who's ahead? Nobody. Maybe he can use a payphone now. He might feel like he's a little bit better. But, monetarily, nobody's ahead. Now, grace, though, grace isn't barter. The Bible tells us things like this, that our works are ineffective, inefficient, not up to the task of us securing salvation. It says that in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. We are saved by grace through faith, and it's not of our works. It's not about works. Religion, just so you know, every other religion that's gathering this morning, and even some Christian religions that are just completely ripping grace out of its context and moorings, they make our faith, those renderings of Christianity, and all of their religions establish their faith on what the people in the religion do. It's barter. If you're a Muslim and you do the 5 pillars of the faith, then Allah loves you more. If you're a transcendentalist or Eastern religion follower, you do the things that you do to reach karmic states, and God meets you in however they do it in that. But it all depends on what you do. In Christianity, we don't function under the barter rules. We function under grace. Here's the picture in grace. God looks down at all of us in our wretched, sinful condition. And because He is love, because it's His very nature to love, He bypasses all of the rightful things that He should claim from us and demand of us. He bypasses all of those things, and by grace gives Himself to us. So He comes up to Mike Sean here and He says, here you go, buddy.